unlike most racket and bat ball sports, squash requires the player to take the ball off the back wall. Now, the only other popular sport that I can think that does that is paddle. The ability to take the ball off the back wall is one of the technical skills that generally separate beginners and improvers from club and intermediate players. To do it consistently on both forehand and backhand requires a good grip, a compact swing, an understanding of bounces, and the ability to hit the ball when it's moving away from you instead of towards you. So in this video, I'm going to explain those things in a clear and concise way. The video is aimed at intermediate players or players who want to improve their ability and confidence in getting the ball out of the back corner. The first part of the video is the breakdown, where I explain the 4 things I just mentioned. The second part of the video is bringing them all together and showing you some practice progressions that will help you get the ball out of that corner. I've already made a comprehensive video about the grip, but I'll quickly summarise the salient points now. Hold the racket so that the left-hand edge of the shaft would continue to the join between your index finger and your thumb. It can be a little bit to the right if you prefer. Extend the index finger so you have a gap of 1 finger between the index finger and the second finger. If you want to, hold the racket higher to gain more control. Only hold firmly when making contact with the ball. At all other times, relax your grip. Grip no tighter than needed to stop the racket from twisting on contact with the ball. That's the how. Now for the why. To keep our swing as compact as possible, we need to think of the wrist as the centre of a circle. I'll explain the swing in more detail in a moment, but you need to try to keep the wrist cocked and rotate with the forearm instead of flicking or bending the wrist. What really matters is trying to do that, even though you won't be able to do it perfectly. By using the grip I've just shown you, you will be able to use the powerful rotation motion of your forearm, and when the racket makes contact with the ball, the racket face will be slightly angled upwards on both forehand and backhand, and that means you'll be more likely to keep the ball in play. Let's start by imagining the worst squash swing possible, the completely straight arm. For those wondering, this is the worst swing possible for 2 reasons. 1, such a big swing is dangerous. There's another player on court and you need to be careful. And 2, having a straight arm means you can't get the ball out of the corners. Suddenly, your shoulder becomes the centre of the circle, not your wrist. So, what is a compact swing? Ever skimmed a stone on a lake? Because if you have and done it well, the chances are you have the basics of a good forehand squash swing. I also like talking about trebuchets, but I'll leave that for another time. Here is the forehand swing in slow motion. I'm doing the slow motion myself because my camera can't do slow-mo at 4K. Honestly, this looks a little unnatural, but when performed in real time, it will feel smoother. The 3 elements I want you to notice are 1, dropping the racket head. 2, the position of the elbow. And 3, that forearm rotation. Irrespective of your racket head's starting position, the racket head needs to drop to parallel with the floor. The string side that hits the ball should be facing upwards. The elbow needs to stay quite close to the body at the point of contact with the ball to ensure the swing is compact, and the forearm rotates for the same reason. Now, here is the backhand in slow motion. If you haven't already seen my 5 common mistakes on the backhand and need to improve it, I highly recommend watching it. As with the forehand, the slow motion may look a little unnatural, but at real speed it will feel smoother. Again, just like the forehand, I want you to notice the same 3 points. 1. The racket head drops to about parallel with the floor. 2. The elbow stays close to the body. And 3. The rotation of the wrist. All of those things on both sides means the racket head moves a long distance in the smallest possible space. One final thing. If you're interested in learning more about the technique required in the back corners, I've made a video in my photo coaching series about it. The link is in the text description and, depending on the device you're watching this video on, maybe even on screen at the moment. Let's now look at the bounce. The most important aspect of the bounce is how far it comes off the back wall. The speed, height and closeness to the sidewall are secondary to this. Here's me marking one racket length away from the back wall. Let's call this the red zone. If the ball takes its second bounce in the red zone, it is almost impossible to play a straight return. That's because you will be unable to use the correct swing and get your racket head behind the ball. This is why the grip and compact swing are so important. The ability to quickly judge whether the ball will bounce outside of the red zone is crucial. You develop this ability through conscious practice. Of course, if you believe that the ball will take its second bounce in the red zone before it hits the back wall, then you must hit it earlier if you can. Time for a bounce quiz. I'm going to hit 6 shots, 3 on the forehand and 3 on the backhand. Let's start with an example. In a moment, I'm going to play the video and pause it on the first bounce. You have to decide if the second bounce is going to be in the red area. You say red or out. Remember, if the second bounce is in the red area, it's almost impossible to return it straight. This decision process is vital. It must be made as early and as quickly as possible. Any delay and it might be too late. Ooh, that was red. Time for the real ones. You get 1 second to decide. Here we go. How many did you get correct? Don't worry if you got them all wrong. This is why solo practice is so important for this shot. You can only develop the ability to judge accurately through repetition, and sometimes even advanced players misjudge the bounce. The next thing to briefly talk about is timing and contact. Normally the ball is moving towards you and your racket. When hitting shots off the back wall, it is essentially going away from you. For improvers and some people, that change can be difficult to adapt to. You can't just block the ball as you can in every other situation. Start with a red dot ball. You shouldn't be worrying about having to keep the ball hot to do these drills. As you improve, you can use single or double yellow dot balls. Drill 1. Timing. Stand in the middle of the court and hit the ball at one sidewall, and when it comes back to you, hit it at the other sidewall. This drill focuses on the timing when the ball is moving away from you. You hit forehand, then backhand. Do this for no more than 3 minutes. Drill 2. Similar to drill 1, stand near the centre of the court. This time you're going to hit each shot after it has hit both walls. This means you're either hitting forehand or backhand. Don't hit the ball too hard. Use height to control how far off the sidewall the ball comes. To increase the difficulty, stand closer to one of the sidewalls than the other. Do each side for about 2 minutes. Drill 3. You're now going to start using the back wall. This drill requires you to hand feed each shot. If you prefer, you don't have to start in the corner. Once you're comfortable doing this in the middle, do move into the corner though. Throw the ball against the back wall and after it has bounced, hit it straight. Catch it and hand feed it again. You might find the first few hand feeds a little harder than expected. Do this for about 2 minutes or until you feel that it's easier. Drill 4. It's now time to try some continuous drives, but away from the sidewall. You want to avoid the sidewall until you feel more comfortable about hitting the ball off the back wall. This drill is quite a bit harder than the hand feed drill because hitting the ball accurately is not as easy as it looks. Aim for control, not power. So hit higher on the front wall if your shots are not coming off the back wall. Don't try to hit it harder. The key is consistency. Focus on the 3 points I mentioned in the compact swing section. Do this drill for about 5 minutes or until you feel that you can control the ball. Drill 5. It's now time to use your swing and timing in the actual corner. The sidewall adds another limit on your swing and your freedom. As with drill 4, aim for control rather than power. Keep the swing compact and start with bigger bounces if you want to. If you feel that the ball is not going to come off the back wall enough to return it straight, hit it early if you want to. Do this drill for about 5 minutes or until you feel that the sidewall is not limiting you. Pairs. The chances are that if you're still learning to get the ball out of the corners, your playing partners are learning too. This is the perfect opportunity to practice together, as all these drills can be performed with 2 people on court at the same time. Make sure you are both facing the centre of the court for all the drills, except for the last drill where you obviously need to be facing the corner. Agree a set time for each drill and maybe use a timer to change drills. In general, I suggest avoiding making the pairs drill competitive, but you could if you wanted to. Well, I hope that this video helped you feel more confident about the back corners and gave you the ability to get the ball out of the corners. If it did, please let me know in the comments. Now, if you have your own tips and ideas or suggestions for other players about how to get the ball out of the corner, something that worked for you, please post those in the comments too. And who knows, if there's enough of them, maybe I'll steal them and create an updated video. And as always, do something every single day, no matter how small, to improve your squash. See ya.